service,
Yeah.
you gave them permission to pretty much go into your phone and do whatever they want.
Right. And you don't read all that stuff because, we do upgrades all the time on those iPhones. They're constant. So, and they'll tell you, oh, it's working out the bugs, but it does weird things. And
It's
actually, my boyfriend was going to get the new phone, 16, the, and he didn't because he doesn't want all that AI stuff on it.
yeah.
So he's letting his phone go a little longer because he said, I don't want to deal with that.
I've actually been going pretty straightforward on this AI stuff. Phones and AI are a perfect example of bad combination
Yeah.
because like with facial recognition and how they're coming up with these avatars on these deep fake videos.
Yeah.
I've been finding out that a lot of that has to do with divination and like the people in California who are putting all this stuff together. They're literally using a form of divination for computer science, and it's actually hitting off pretty good. A lot of the stuff that's going into this AI when it comes to that is pseudoscience. Like scientists
Wow.
are really against it. They've been trying to get rid of it for the last 2,000 years, and it just keeps popping up over and over again.
Well, and I don't like that facial recognition. And it's almost like because I pay a lot of bills online and stuff, and I'll go in there and it keeps wanting me to do this facial recognition. That was another thing it did when it upgraded my phone. All of a sudden, I go in to use a password and it said, "Can you use your facial ID?" And I was like, I never signed up for it. And then you'd have to go to the bottom and skip over it, and it's like it's pushing you. And like I swear, it doesn't take your password. Some of these places, they just want you to do that facial recognition. You get so frustrated, and they want you to do it, but I won't do it. I'll just change my password or something because I'm
Just
like,
take the mark already.
hmm.
He
Just
said,
take the mark already.
take the mark of the
Just,
beast.
just take just take the mark of the beast already.
Yeah.
You know you have to do it.
Give
You
in.
can't buy or sell without it.
Don't
Come on.
scare her now. Don't scare her.
Well,
That's where all this is. That's where all this is headed. I mean, it
yeah.
seems to be anyway.
And actually, I have already, like some
You've already
call
taken the mark.
prep. Ask you if they can record your voice.
Did
You
you?
know, they've done that for me a few times, like insurance companies and stuff, and I'll be like, no. But then they'll say, well, we're going to record your conversation, and I let them do that because I have to get my answer.
Yeah.
I found that that passage in that book I was telling you guys about. The book. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. The book was it was called Monsters: An Investigator's Guide to Magical Beings, and it was written by John Michael Greer, and it has chapters on. Hold on a second. It has chapters on vampires, ghosts, werewolves, creatures of fairy, mermaids, dragons, spirits, angels, and demons. And it also has chapters on ritual magic and natural magic.
Ooh.
I think this was a book I got from Scholastic back when they actually sold good stuff about kids not being like transsexual pedophiles and stuff. But anyway.
Oh, gotta bring the pedophiles and the transsexuals into this. My
Yeah, we
good.
don't want to go into the Diddy world.
Yeah, but anyway, in the chapter about demons, on page 166, it says the epidemic of anorexia nervosa, that disastrous amplification of our culture's dieting mania that causes several thousand deaths a year, is a fine example. In an uncomfortable number of cases, people suffering from anorexia have reported hearing voices in their heads encouraging them to starve themselves or even describe the presence of an entity inside them who is involved in the disease. Few medical and or psychological treatments have been shown to work effectively with anorexia. Exorcism, either religious or magical, may be an option worth trying, although such methods should always be used alongside competent medical care, never as a replacement for it. And this passage was actually written in the section about demonic obsession in this chapter about demons in this book.
Wow.
And that ties right, isn't that ties right into what we were saying.
Yep.
And you know, she was so angry about things that she burnt a Bible in that driveway.
Yeah.
Because she was mad. She had a child that hydrocephalus, but that was from the eating disorder. But yeah, the whole thing was
No. With what you said, it was from the eating disorder. If what he's reading there is true, and it was also a demonic possession or obsession, if nothing else.
yeah.
So.
And I noticed that around Sam too, back when he was getting real hooked on heroin. I would always feel the presence of something else around him that was making me uneasy, not just the situation itself. I think there was a spiritual, and he even said a number of times it was like there was a reaper over him.
Oh yeah, like tell me about
The what?
Leo was shaking. He would get scared sometimes. Usually he'd either be in pain or scared. So he was shaking real bad, it said. He was with Sam. And you could tell him the rest.
Oh, I asked Sam, I was like, why is Leo shaking so bad? And he's like, he probably sees this reaper standing over me. And this was when he was really getting hooked on heroin hardcore. So it was, I think there was definitely a spiritual component to that too. I mean, this book doesn't appear to touch on that too much. It just touches on the anorexia having a spiritual component to it. But based on what me and Sam both experienced, it's not too much of a stretch to say that goes for drugs too. I mean, especially when you consider, like, well, let's take heroin for example again. It comes from a plant. It comes from the opium poppy, which that's a living, breathing thing with a spirit all of its own. So and it's the same with alcohol. It's created from living things, from plants. So it's not too far-fetched to say these substances do have spirits that maybe of the things they're made from.
I wonder if that's where the term comes from then, right? The spirits. Or...
Could be the spirit of the corn they use to make, whiskey, or that plant they use to make tequila. Those plants have spirits too,
Right.
So,
that's strange. It's funny with after your dad passed away, it was like there was nothing in our house anymore, and you had moved out. So I'm in this big house, and my friends had always talked to me about scary stuff that happened there. So my two coworkers are like, "Aren't you scared to be there now?" And I was like, it's weird. I thought I would be, but it's like whatever was in the house, it's like everything's gone. Everything. Like I said, also moved out, a month before Marty got sick, my husband, and then he passed away, and I was like, but it's like there's nothing there at all. I said that's almost scarier than having spirits around, So I'm wondering if something with your dad left too.
Yeah, I think he had a poltergeist attached to him from issues he didn't deal with, because it's like you repress that stuff. It's like building a dam. The river turns into a lake, and the lake is the poltergeist in this analogy, Yeah, but if you guys This book, Roger. I don't know if you ever have a chance to get your hands on it. It's chock full of all kinds of. It's a treasure trove of information that's helped me make sense of a lot of this stuff. It was called, again for our viewers, it was called Monsters: An Investigator's Guide to Magical Beings by John Michael Greer.
Mm-hmm. I got into the animation, to be honest with you. It's hard to find, but if you look for it, they have an animation about it. It's a demon that has an insatiable hunger, and that usually goes around looking for children to devour. And when it devours the child, it takes on the presence of that child. So you have little children running around eating people.
Now that's not like we were talking about Krampus earlier. You know that because I watched that movie and it's kind of creepy,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a kind of a demonic thing. It's supposed to real. I think they initially scared kids, but
It kind of sounds like what Roger was describing, actually.
right.
The Krampus.
And
That it's a mythological creature who is often depicted with horns and a demon-like face, according to myth, which likely originated in what is now Germany and Austria. The creature punished children who behaved badly. He was thought to have been part of rituals for the winter solstice.
yep.
Yeah.
And that's perfect. That's perfect for this show, being the a winter solstice / Christmas special.
Mm-hmm.
But what
And
Rob
how
he says he's known to chase bad children around with sticks or chains, hitting them and even kidnapping them as punishment. But he doesn't take over like their souls, I don't think.
Well, there's an evolution in the Krampus story. Like now, he actually abducts them and sticks them in his bag and takes them with him.
Yeah,
You
I
know.
saw that was in the movie. If you ever watched the movie, it was crazy.
I did a really, really cool story on Krampus on my storytelling one. I have a compilation of scary stories. Actually, I did it on our channel too for the Fireside Stories. And it's coming out. It's going to be about Krampus, this next one, I think.
Oh, cool.
was that episode 12?
Yeah, I believe it's either that one or it's the one before it, 11 or 12. But
Okay.
I've been dealing with a lot of the stories that are involved with the Wendigo. So
Yeah.
I got some cool Wendigo stuff in there too.
What is that again? I know I've seen. Is it?
It's a type of demon.
But it's got something to do with Indians, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Is it Indian?
See, what happened is Indians, like especially in North America, Canada, and the United States, when wintertime came, it got extremely cold, and some of them wouldn't prepare for the wintertime. And rather than starve to death, what they would do is they would resort to cannibalism and start killing and eating other humans. So the Wendigo was set up to where it would teach a moral to people that if you decide to participate in cannibalism, you turn into this evil demon that would be haunted by insatiable hunger.
Wow.
And see, we come back to demons and eating again.
Uh-huh. Well, I still think there's Canadians up there that are eating humans. Like,
yeah. Cannibalism exists everywhere. I mean,
well, especially in Saskatchewan, they've had some situations where students have been disappearing that were supposed to be going to school. And the government still refuses to admit that these students have been disappearing and stuff.